Yo, happy Monday, y'all.
Welcome back to Market Mondays,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen.
September
so much to talk about.
9th.
For sure.
Yeah.
So much to talk about, man. Yeah, this is going to be a very informative episode.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ian, you back home?
I am. I may be having to leave if a hurricane come.
Oh, yeah.
There's some talk. There's some talks.
Yep. I'm
That's
finished.
season. Yeah. Time
I
to leave.
go. Sorry.
There you go. All right, I'm gonna keep it short. Shout out to everybody that took advantage of that stock club sale.
Yes.
Everybody should be entered, and I think you dropped some prices over the weekend, right?
Yeah, 94 prices. So go set your alert. The NVIDIA low at the boat price. It's going to be spicy at that election debate. NVIDIA, join.
Speaking of the election debate, we're going to do something special tomorrow.
Breaking news alert.
We're not going to drop an EYL episode because it's a very important day in history of America with the election debate. So we're going to do a debate review. 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. We are going to live stream. Maybe we'll have some of our political friends join us, and we will dissect what the politicians said, what it means for you, the economic implications.
Yeah.
Should be good. Spirited conversation. It's the first time that we've done this, but I think it's important, leading into this presidential cycle. This might be the only debate that they have, they said.
Mhm.
So 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, set your alarm. 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are going to do a post debate. And if the debate runs a little bit longer, we'll gauge it. We'll push it back a couple of minutes, but we'll do right after the debate ends. Join us here, and we will be dissecting most important topics from the debate. I'm interested to watch the debate myself. So yeah, that's going to be tomorrow at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, and then of course Blackout back this week. Shout out to Ian, Master Investor. Always
Shout out to you. You did.
Yeah, I did.
Oh boy, got the best ad lib since that Jeezy. Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, and on Blackout, we will be covering the Lil Wayne controversy, Super Bowl, Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z. We will be covering that in detail because that needs about 15 minutes. So we're gonna be covering that in detail on Blackout if you're interested in hearing our take on that, because there's some business lessons.
That's a bunch of business lessons in there.
There is some and there's some personal lessons.
Yo, there's some vendettas.
Drake called my phone.
Yo, Six. Everybody in the Six. Shout out to my brothers. Shout out to my brothers, and shout out first. Obviously y'all covered, but congrats to Kendrick, man. Hell of a year. Well deserved.
No round twos. My boy.
Salute.
Just
salute that.
It's us. And like Charlamagne said, man, every year we're highlighting our talent. So I from that standpoint, I can appreciate
salute
that.
The die. Ain't that wrong? I think that wrong for leaving Weezy off that bill though. But we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about it.
That's what's behind me.
I
might have to call him. I'm calling him.
Shout out to Weezy.
I'm gonna do one of those.
Bringing that boy on stage though. We're gonna talk.
Salute to Hov first and foremost. Shout out to Hov. Shout out to the whole Rock Nation.
That's a fact.
Big facts.
That's a fact.
Shout out to Hov, man.
Yo, when you're in position of power,
the whole team, man. Yep.
Yo, when you're in position of power, you can make the moves. Throw it up one more time. We're just gonna freeze frame it.
40-40. Yep. Shout out to the 40-40.
Yeah. Shout out to the whole team. Yep.
Shout out to the whole nation.
Rock Nation.
Rock La Familia. We're gonna go back. Everything Hov on. Shout.
The Rock distribution. Shout out to everybody.
Yeah, that's a fact. Ian, any announcements on your side?
If you want to get rich, go to uninversion.com. Thank you to everyone who joined. Prices are in. For those of you who may have bought before, if you lost access somehow, you'll be re-uploaded so you have access tonight. But if I made you money, please put yes in chat. Once again, thank you all of you who have joined. Set your alerts, and then our actual call will be this Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central. So it's a lot of conversations to be had. So we're going to do a quick one on Wednesday, then watch Blackout. And if I made you money, please put yes in chat.
Amen.
Stay on the right side of history too. I'll say that lesson one from the whole Kendrick field. Stay on the right side of history.
That's a fact.
Yep.
Any Disclaimer.
On the right side of history. That's crazy. Y'all know how this works, man. This is our disclaimer. And please continue to do your own research. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It is very important to do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you hear on our show and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. Continue to do the research, continue to share the research, and when it's great and you've made some money from it, spread love. Give some credit to the people you found it from. But continue to share it.
For sure. Subscribe to we have a clips channel called Earn Your Leisure Clips. So going forward, all of the small segments, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that's going to be on that channel. So subscribe to Earn Your Leisure Clips if you're interested in the micro content on YouTube.
Another great business lesson. The best advisors are people who are not fans of the brand. Thank you. Por favor.
Appreciate you. All right. So a lot to talk about, but first, let's go a little off script. ASML is a company that's very important in the chip ecosystem. We haven't really talked about them a lot on this program, but they do hold damn near monopoly on the EUV technology, and a lot of companies actually get their tech through. They're like one of these companies that's like a gateway company. And during the pandemic, they ran up crazy during the pandemic, but they're down 30% from a high of 1,100 to around 750. So we've talked about NVIDIA. We've talked about NVIDIA a lot. We talked about TSM, but ASML is another one of these chip making equipment companies that's vitally important to the ecosystem. Like I said, they almost have a monopoly in their niche.
Yeah.
So what is the prognosis for ASML?
No one wants to say it, but we are in a chip recession. So everything is coming down. NVIDIA, once they didn't over deliver on Blackwell, which I think they will next year, it brought the entire space down. I can see ASML going to 672.72.
Oh, what'd you say?
ASML
672? 672?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very probable. Okay. So that would be one area I would look to load the boat. If you were at InvestFest, tons of value. I gave you 8 levels where to get in on stage live, and a 9th one as a bonus, because shout out to you who asked what's another level. You can plot how to map out your own levels there, or you can go to uninversion.com, get the replay, or go to investfest.com and get the replay and see how to map these levels out for yourself. But we are in a chip recession. If we look back even 2 years ago, they were at 388. To go from 388 to then 1100, in order to have exponential returns, you have to continue to deliver an exponential product, which they have done. But once you miss one revenue beat one time, we're going to have a pullback. So I think we're just correcting to the levels that it should be. But do they have a legal monopoly? Absolutely. Is it one of the ones that we haven't talked about on here a lot? Absolutely. But I've talked about it endlessly in Stock Club. So 672 is where I will look to build a position if you're new into it. And let's be honest, like, a stock can't run from 200 to 1,200 and then continue to go to 2,400. Like, you're outside of mathematical probabilities and mathematical laws. Like, if a stock goes up 500%, another thing I talked about on stage, knowing where to take profit. If you hit 5x, take some profit, take 50% off the table, let the rest run, add to back to the position, and you'll be a-okay.
Yeah, ASML is something, we spoke about, and I'm glad you said you spoke about it in Red Panda. We definitely spoke about it in our calls in EYLU. Yeah, but you know what? We spoke about it here first on Market Mondays, and that I'm glad that we're bringing it up again, because it's important so people can understand how this works. Yes, NVIDIA has chips. Yes, Taiwan Semiconductor is the one that produces it, but there's a machine that creates those chips. And so ASML, in a sense, when you say monopoly, it's because they have the technology right now that can create the nanometer chips for TSM to now provide NVIDIA. And so they're not American. and when we're talking about imports and exports, these things come into play. And so if it's a Dutch company, and so if you figure if it has to ship to China, if it has to ship to America, and there's geopolitical tensions, they're going to be affected directly. On top of it, a company like ARM comes into the space, and now we're looking at this as, hey, maybe they're not the only player inside of the space. But is it when you see obviously companies pull back, and it's one of these cases where we watched NVIDIA get pulled back two weeks ago, and it was like, well, why really? The guidance is there. They're telling you guys it's coming out. We just saw a Broadcom report last week, and I put some numbers in on Broadcom, and we watched them pull back, and the guidance is there, and the revenue is there. So what? We talked about it. September is a volatile month.
It's a rough month.
Over the past 10 years, out of all the months in a calendar year, September has been the most volatile and has produced a negative 2.3% return over the past 10 years. And so we're in September. We talked about quadruple witching. We talked about rate cuts last week with all that happening. You're seeing semis, which have led for the past 12 months. They're slightly pulling back. Does this mean that they're going anywhere? Absolutely not. Does this mean you shouldn't invest? Absolutely not. But you got to pick your points. And we're getting to some of those levels where it's like, all right, this is a good position. I'm glad you said the number 672. Good number to be in it. But if you're looking at it long term, the dollar cost averaging anyway. And so it's one of those companies that we put it on our watch list. I feel like we did this in maybe June of 2020. So a lot of people maybe have had that run up and celebrated from that run up. But yeah, I think it's something you still stay in. It's a company that is definitely going to be a part of the ecosystem when it comes to AI, and definitely when it comes to making chips.
Continue to hold for the long term. Stop buying things when they're at a hype or a high, and you'll be okay. Like, no company will defy mathematical averages. You can't go up 14x in a 4-year period or 11x and then not have a retracement. These are the areas in which you should be looking to buy. If you are not disciplined, you're going to die. But if you are disciplined, you'll profit. I think is that simple. But yeah, I think they have a monopoly because they are really the supplier to the rest of the chip space. And the Dutch, they know a lot about that import-export business, don't they?
So they would. So
that's crazy.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as like a company that you would be interested in buying, like I said, it's already dropped 30%.
Yep.
Yeah. Where would it be?
In the chip space, NVIDIA will be number 1 for sure. TSM 2, ASML probably will be 3. A lot volatile. So if you're putting a lot of money into it, you're going to have to stomach some of those drops. And like where you buy matters a hell of a lot. Even if I zoom out a little bit further, I mean, if they go to 612, I'll throw a bag at it. 612, but 672, I'm very interested in it, but it's third because of the volatility. They're like the Tesla of this space in terms of volatility, not management, but how the price action moves on it. The days when it's running up incredibly well, you're going to be very happy, but on the days where it's sliding down, you're going to hate it. Just inside of this quarter, we've gone from 1110 down to 749. I don't care how much financial discipline you think you have. Let's say if you have $200,000 invested, it's hard to sit through a drawdown like that. $400 wide almost.
Yeah.
If this is an assembly line, like they're part of the assembly line. Like it's tough to produce at the levels you want if they're not a part of your assembly line, because, and even we'll take like other companies, they don't have the technology to make the nano wafer. So like the wafer, think of it as like a Eggo waffle, right? Like that's what this is. Like these large sheets that they put the semis on, they have the machines that actually make them. And so if you don't have the person that makes the sheet, then you don't have anywhere to put the chip on. And so it's an assembly like the ecosystem. I probably have, it's definitely in my top 5. I definitely have it.
Absolutely.
It's in my portfolio now. Just full disclaimer, it's in my portfolio. But yeah, it's definitely in top 5. It's part of the assembly.
Well, and going even to the election night recap episode, for those who you guys should stick to what you know. Presidents and the cabinet will decide policy, which then affects the market. But think of it like this: ASML dropped almost 400 points to show you how big the geopolitical tensions are, their profit margins is 29%. So if your profit margin is 29% and you're pretty much the manufacturer for the entire space that matters the most, what is going on politically worldwide that is not being revealed yet? They keep lying about these jobs numbers. So we'll see. Amazing company though.
Yeah. Yep. Intel, TSM, Samsung, they all buy
all clients, right?
Their products from them.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, next up, we're gonna talk about Apple. You know,
you did. I'm joking.
nah, don't do that. Don't do that.
We gonna talk now, though. Oh boy,
don't do that, man.
They previewed the Apple 16, right?
Yeah, iPhone 16. Yeah, they announced it.
iPhone 16.
Yep.
Which I believe is fully powered by AI technology.
Apple Intelligence. Yep.
I think they made some updates to the Apple Watch and a few other things. They've been doing this periodically for the last years. Has this they have a hearing aid, I believe.
Yeah, they said they turned the AirPod 2 into it has hearing aid capabilities.
Yeah, the AirPod's really annoying. That noise thing is like when you speak, the music goes down.
You don't like the AirPod?
You can turn it off, but it is annoying.
I tried to, but I couldn't turn it off.
You can change the value. On your phone, you can do it.
I tried to.
I love the earbuds. The Maxes I have as well. My kids stole them from me. I haven't seen them in months. But those are great. But that's interesting. You have the device, and now that's going to help the hearing impaired, which is crazy. The Apple Watch update, so they changed the design. It has a polished titanium option and a new S10 chip. How often do people wear Apple Watch? Are people wearing the Apple Watch every day? I have Apple. I use it, but I'm just wondering, like, if you have the Apple Watch 7, do you now need the Apple Watch 10? It's becoming one of those things, like the product is so good, do I need to update? Right? Kind of like how we said with the phone for the past maybe 4 iterations. The product is so good, do I really need a new watch? Or do I need a new phone?
I'm finna be on bullshit. So listen, as far as the watch, I love the watch. You got to get your rings knocked out. We'll talk about them blackout, the other rings you got to take care of. But I'm gonna be real. When y'all update the AirPod Pros, you scan our brain, why don't y'all listen to what consumers want? Get y'all ass in Mid-Journey and create a new phone. Like, I'm disappointed. Yes, the phone, I have a 15, I have a 14, I have a Pro Max, I have the earbuds, and you may take all my IP. HQ, I love y'all. Tim Cook, I love y'all. When are y'all gonna stop re-rocking this same fucking phone up? I don't want to hear that it's going to, yes, zoom on me. I don't want to hear the 17th is going to be the most innovative version and most contextual listening experience. Make a new phone. God damn.
So
2034 can't come here fast enough. So I don't know what y'all need to do. I love y'all. I've been supporting y'all since y'all had the orange backs on a big fucking desktop. Fix this. It's been 12 years since iPhone 7 has been the same thing. I don't need a new camera. I can go to Blackmagic or Sony or do something. For the first time in history, it's becoming like more sexier to have an Android than an iPhone. Fix something. Y'all, I can't flip my damn phone out like Drew can with the Samsung Galaxy Baller Edition phone. Give me some innovation, man. iOS is amazing. Still love the company, love the stock. But going back to the over delivering, if you want exceptional returns in the market, you have to give an exceptional product. I think Apple is playing it too safe. You need some more visionaries back in the, and there are some there. You need to empower them. Tim Cook's still an amazing CEO, but we have to tell the truth. When's the last time, I'm back to your test, you've heard someone say, man, I can't wait to get the new iPhone. So Huawei is an indicator. Look how many units they shipped out.
2.7 million.
Is it time to abandon ship?
Whoa.
On Apple?
Yeah.
Not yet, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna give them another year, and I may take them out my 2 Tech 2 index portfolio.
Wow. That's heavy. One more year. And
Show me something. Listen, hop your ass in Mid-Journey. Give me a This is how bad it's gotten if you're an Apple fanboy. Okay. We don't even get no leaks of what a new phone could be no more. We get a new leak over what Siri could be before.
All right. So what can they do? Outside of having a hologram thing that like, what can they do? They're known for phones, right? That's what they're known for.
Yep.
So do they just create a whole different product? They tried that. That hasn't really worked. Do they go into different industries? They tried that. Healthcare, cars, that hasn't worked.
They'll still do well in healthcare, but they need to push
healthcare. Yeah, that's still cars.
Yeah.
They banned it.
That's on the table. They
still taking that data
right now.
Yeah, they checking my heart rate every 30 seconds.
So what can they do?
On the phone side, they need to bring. I've been saying it forever. You need to bring back a Johnny Ive or someone like that. I'm not even gonna lie. Like when they announced this phone, I know they won't do it. It wouldn't be a bad idea to bring in Kanye or somebody who is a real creator to make something new.
Kanye West.
That Kanye.
That STEM shit was a good idea. Just didn't execute it right. Like here's the thing about any brand. Every brand goes through a cycle when they're incredibly innovative for 10 to 15 years. They have success and then they rest on their laurels and they start to dial it in and try and perfect what is working opposed to creating something new that's more magical. Even for me, great. Stock Club worked, great. But then I began to add more companies, more prices to continue to give it an edge. I think the last time that I was excited about buying an iPhone probably was the 12 or the 13. We're now on 16. But if you look at the 7, there isn't much difference in those two. Of course, the hardware is better, but it does not stand out as a differentiated model while other companies, Huawei, Samsung are innovating. Like you're either going to have to acquire a division or you're going to have to make a whole new team full of creatives, because if this is the lead gen into your ecosystem, if this goes away in value, the entire company starts to slowly erode. I don't worry, for those of you going to comment online, I don't worry about losing when I'm down 20. I get scared when the lead goes away and I'm only up 10. They don't have a competitive advantage right now.
What about down 28 at halftime?
No, they're not there yet.
Shout out to Colorado. Struggling.
Tough.
There's some real concerns there. But we started the year about real concerns with Apple. We started the year, but this is their month, right? Fourth quarter is their quarter, and we still have the same concerns. The innovation is inside of the phone, right? Whereas most people just want to see something new. So when you tell
me that in iOS, tell me that I can tell Siri, hey, map out my whole month, and if that can integrate, I didn't see that.
Let's see it. I think we had this conversation when we were talking about health, and somebody was like, "Well, it's 40% less sodium in those chips." Yeah, well, we didn't know what it was before. How do we even quantify that? How do we know, right? So when you tell me that it moves at 10% faster than the 17 or the 15, the average person is not like, oh, you know what? Let me time this. Yeah, this is moving faster. So will the GPUs be better? Great. The average person is not going to. They don't, right? Will they have storage? Are the cameras? The average person wants to see new design. They want to see that this is different than the product that I got. Here's how it does play back to the conversation we were talking about with ASML, and we were talking about NVIDIA and TSM. So the new A18 chip is created specifically for the 16, so it's going to optimize running large models for generative AI, right? So, but that technology needs to be done on a 3 nanometer technology. So when we were talking about the nanometer process, right? This is for back to the ASML comp.
Yeah.
Intel, a company that I know you love to talk about, are still creating nanometers at a 10 nanometer technology, right? And so you're talking about Apple that's now putting out their new phones down to a 3. TSM was using a 5. NVIDIA's using 5. They'll probably get down to 3 at some point. That shows you the difference. And who's making the wafer for those to produce on, that's where ASML comes into play. But yeah, man, if you can't see it, if I can't see the innovation, I don't know if the pre-order process becomes exciting anymore. Like you said, nobody's saying like, "Hey, where are the commercials? Get your new iPhone." I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
When
the thing is, like,
when we heard the Huawei news and we heard that they were going to put it the day before, we were like, they're trying to step on this announcement. Not only did they step on it, but they showed the numbers. Apple's not going to do that. They got almost 3 million pre-orders for their phone.
Insane. And at a time 10 years ago, Apple was like Kendrick Lamar, shot to Rock Nation. No one would even think about challenging Apple in this way 10 years ago. Now Huawei doesn't even give a damn. Like, to Apple HQ, I love y'all dearly, but man, there hasn't been excitement around the product. And are there gradual improvements? Yes. But if I don't see a exponential increase in productivity from the phone, hell, iMessage still looks terrible in comparison to Instagram's or Telegram's messaging platform.
Yeah. And I don't want the part of the announcement as a new color as one of the line items. I don't care. Who cares about the phone color, bro? You're going to put a case on it anyway.
Okay.
Sorry.
We'll see. We'll see. I want to do some impromptu, because I definitely want to add as much value to Market Monday's audience as possible, because you guys been extremely loyal. So somebody had asked, I read comments a lot, and somebody had asked some questions about retirement planning. So it's end of the year, so I think it might be a good time to kind of go over that.
That'd be great.
So yeah, maybe we can go over the 12 different type of retirement plans for individuals and business owners quickly. So 401k plan is something that everybody probably is familiar with. That is for-profit businesses. You can actually contribute up to $23,000 a year if you are an employee, an additional $7,500 if you are over 50. So that's $30,500. So benefit with the 401k, you put money in, it lowers your taxable income, save money on taxes. You take it out when you're 59 and a half without avoiding a penalty. If you work in a school or a hospital, you might have what's called a 403B plan. Same type deal. Same rules apply, but that is for the nonprofit world, but it still allows you to actually put money in. And then with these 401k plans and the 403B sometimes as well, they give you a Roth option. We'll talk about that later. But 457 plan is for government employees. So they're all in the fours. I don't know why the IRS coded it like that, but the 401k for profit, 403B for nonprofit, 457 for government entities. And then the IRA is for individual people that want to put money away. If you have a business or if you don't have a 401k, you can open up an IRA. Anybody can open up an IRA. You can do it yourself. You can work with a financial advisor. You could put up to $7,000 in that, an additional $1,000 to bring it to $8,000 if you're over 50. And then you have a Roth IRA option also, which the Roth, you don't pay taxes when you take the money out, but you don't get a tax deduction when you put the money in. Now, for business owners, this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. Simple IRA allows you to put $16,000 in and an additional $3,500 if you're over 50, but the employer must match an employee contribution dollar for dollar up to 3%. So as a business owner, your number one thing as a business owner is how to save money, right? And one of the best ways to save money is to implement a retirement plan. And you kind of kill two birds with one stone, because you're lowering your tax liability, but you're also putting yourself in a position to actually have more money down the line, right? So it's like you can just buy a computer and that's a tax deduction, but you're not really getting that money back, right?
Yeah.
It's something that is beneficial for you. But when you put money into a retirement plan, that's like you're saving money as far as it's lowering it. And that's how, when they say you're saving money, that's what that means, right? It's lowering your tax liability. But you're also going to be getting that money back because it's money that's invested. So it's not like you just bought something. You're investing the money as well, right? Solo 401k is like a 401k, but it's for an entrepreneur. So it's just one person, right? And then you have a pension plan, defined benefit. That's a little bit more complicated. Mike, you can split the screen. And that allows you could actually put up to $270,000 in the pension plan. So that's obviously a lot more than a regular retirement account, right? And that's one of the benefits. Like we always say, the tax code was not made for employees. It was made for entrepreneurs and investors, right? So you see, okay, now as an employee, the most you could put in is $23,000 with the 401k. But if you're a business owner, you can put, depending on how your business is set up, you could put up $270,000 away. That, what, 10 times? That's like 10 times difference. Profit sharing plan. You could put up to $66,000 into that. Cash balance plan. That's a little bit more complicated. There's not really a set amount. That depends on how much money your business is actually bringing in. Then you have the thrift savings plan, which a lot of teachers have that also, better known as a TSP. And that's kind of like the 401k where you could put up to $23,000 a year as well. Yeah, so please consult with a tax advisor, CPA, to know your options. But a lot of times you're leaving money on the table, especially if you're a business owner, because you might not even be aware that you can do a pension plan, right? And you think that, okay, the most I can put in is to a 401k, but you can do a 401k and you can do a pension plan. So you might be putting away $23,000 and you think, okay, that's great, but you still might be paying $300,000 in taxes. Well, if you put away another $100,000 into a retirement plan, now that might cut your tax liability by $80,000. That makes a real difference, right? And for the regular employee, you might be funding your 401k at minimal levels, right? This is a way to actually, put more money into it. So, vitally important when you talk about investing, because we talk about retail investing on the brokerage side most of the time, but there are other ways to invest, and you can invest that money, and most of the time it's different funds. Sometimes they let you invest in individual stocks, but most of the time it's like different funds, index funds, ETF, stuff like that. But it's important because, like I said, that makes a real difference as far as paying $150,000 in taxes as opposed to paying $50,000 in taxes, right? That $100,000, not only are you saving $100,000, but the opportunity cost, that $100,000 could potentially grow into $1 million. So you actually lost $1 million by not taking advantage of something that is here, it's designed for you. But like I said, it's kind of complicated. You got like 12 different options, right? So if you're not educated and your CPA is not educated, then you might not even be fully taking advantage of ways to max out your retirement to save money on your taxes.
That's a great list. Value from the highest level and from a celebrity.
Quasi.
Talk to celebrities.
Man.
12 ways. Clip them up.
Sounds like you do this for a living.
Yeah, that was a great list. I mean, and the way inflation is going, I mean, I know that the axiom used to be, hey, build a business. That's the best way to wealth. But it's like you have to invest the money inside of the business to help grow. Because the way inflation is going, you don't know what the market is going to be like in 15 years. Like, imagine being an entrepreneur in 2008, 2009, 2010, and seeing these valuations and home prices go up and commercial buildings go up. Like, if you're not having that money work for you, Lord forbid, if the business goes under, at least you'll still be making some money from the returns that you're getting out of one of these plans.
That's a fact.
Fact. That's it. I mean, obviously, I'm being facetious. You obviously did this for a living. I wonder now, like, as you were speaking, based on technology, based on the way the landscape is now, what are the biggest differences you see in financial planning, financial advising from the day you started to present day?
I'm not in this space anymore, so I'm not really sure as far as like the day to day, but I know technology has definitely changed everything. As far as when I came in, it was paperwork, like massive amounts of paper. And now a lot of that has been changed, and it's everything is online. It's even how they keep your records is online. And that's one of the things where I like the blockchain. Like, that's how I understood blockchain early, and I understood like how it was going. Everybody kept talking about blockchain as far as cryptocurrency, but blockchain, what it's going to do to once again, the healthcare industry is going to be phenomenal, because it's like, when we used to order medical records for somebody that wanted life insurance. So if you wanted life insurance, you have to fill the application, but then we have to, 9 times out of 10, we have to order your medical records, which we call the APS, attending physician statement. Now, this is us actually, the insurance company is reaching out to the hospital or the doctor saying, can you give us records, right? And then they give them the records and then they have to review the records. I've seen it take up to 8 months because the secretary is just incompetent. They don't get back. And this is a physical process of them. They have to fax or email paperwork. But in the doctor's office, they have thousands of paper. This is something that I've seen with my own eyes. So I understand, like, all right, once this, and it's going to take a long time for it to get fully digitalized, but it's going to get digitalized at some point in time. So at some point in time, all of these medical records are going to be on the blockchain, and it's going to take a minute. It's going to say, okay, he had an EKG in February. I don't even got to call nobody. It's going to be all in the system, a database. The insurance company is going to have a system with all of the hospitals. They're going to put the code in and they're going to send it, and then they're going to send it back. Little stuff like that saves so much money, becomes more efficient. It's everything. So it all ties in. So that's one of the things that I even knew back then, like, this is going to change everything once they really can get this done at a more efficient level as far as technology. Then, of course, robo-advisors. I don't think robo-advisors has taken off the way that people have planned.
They're planned, yeah.
But who knows? That might be something in the future as well, as far as, people fully relying on AI to be their financial advisor, as opposed to a person. Like I said, it's not there yet. You still need a human touch, but as they're getting better with artificial intelligence, that might be something to look out for sure.
Is that one of those career paths where we look at it, fast forward to the future, when we talk about AI and generative AI, are these some of those career paths that you could see being dented, replaced, right? Because the access to information is there even now. Like, a lot of people are getting access to information. Technology is going to streamline it as well. How much of in the future you think the human touch is going to be needed in that space?
I think it's still needed, even if you look at taxes, right? I mean, theoretically, you could probably send all your information to AI right now, and AI could do your taxes. Me personally, I would still want a human
overseeing
it. I still need to talk to somebody, explain things to them, tell them, like, yo, this was this was that. So, but I do think that humans need to utilize AI. So if you're a CPA, if you're a financial advisor, you should be utilizing the technology as it's what everybody keeps saying. Like, a lot of the things is not necessarily going to totally replace somebody, but it will replace, like, if you have an assistant, that might not be needed, right? But that's actually could be beneficial to you because you don't have to pay an assistant anymore. So,
thank the Lord.
I mean, from a financial standpoint,
to help.
So I feel like I don't feel like it's. I think it's especially for wealthy people. I think the wealthy people, if you got, let's be honest, you got $100 million, you still
you're not hitting Chat GPT 5 to
I doubt
manage the family office. I'm sorry.
Even for like a lawyer, right? Like, yeah, if you got a public defender, you might just want to take your chances with a robot at that point. But if you got 100 million, you still might. Now, the lawyers need to be working with AI to make sure that they get all of the data collected. But I still think that personal insight is needed. But like I said, you should definitely be working with somebody because, I got audited before, and that's because years ago I tried to do my own taxes. This was like probably 17 years ago. I did TurboTax. So I learned the valuable lesson. Trying to save money, you end up, you end up costing yourself more money. So I never used TurboTax ever again. Shout out to TurboTax. I had nothing against them, but you want to use a professional. That's my whole thing in life. Like, if I want to put a painting up, I'm not qualified to put a painting up, right? You might think you are until it's crooked. And then you drill the hole in the wall. Now you got to drill another hole in the wall. And you think, what's the worst that could happen? It's just a painting until you tear your
drywall.
You tear your whole wall down.
Tilt your drywall.
That's a fact.
Hit your plumbing.
That's a fact.
Change order.
I'm a big proponent in paying a professional for services. I have no problem with doing that. But yeah, shout out to everybody out there that's an entrepreneur. Make sure that you're making the most of your situation, because the government's gonna get their money, but there are ways to limit. There are ways to limit the amount of money that you're paying legally.
Keyword.
I mean, but
key emphasis.
Oh man, no.
As far as the AI debate too, I think it's going to be a battle between the subpar and supreme. Those who are supreme at doing their job, there'll always be space for you. But if you're subpar,
I
mean, even since Chat GPT came out, like I've talked about this before, man, like I've been able to replace at least 8 people. And then I don't have to hear the complaints about they were tired or they had too much Don Julio the night before. Great. Good old Chat GPT and Midjourney gonna be right there.
Don Julio.
Chef him up. Thank you.
Don Julio.
This is a message brought to you by
education, vitally important. And that's the kind of stuff you're never gonna learn that in school. So that's one of these things you gotta learn on your own, right? They're not gonna teach you retirement planning in school. So it's like it's one thing to become a business owner, they're not gonna teach you that, but it's another thing to how do you maintain your wealth? How do you maintain it? How do you save it? How do you grow it?
The hardest part.
And these are all things that you gotta, like even Shaq, I heard he was saying, like, I picked up a gym from him when he was like, I'm not just gonna pay my mom. I put her on payroll.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna give my mom money anyway, why not just give her a job? Right. And there's plenty of jobs that you can give your mom. But so many people, like we just see rappers, and it's not their fault, they're uneducated. Like you ever see these videos where rappers give their mom like $50,000 in cash?
Yeah.
Or like $10,000 in cash for their birthday. Or even their girl, they do that all the time. I see like girls on Instagram, they get like money, like this amount of money in like a Birkin bag, and it's like happy birthday, babe. But I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna give you the money, if we talking every day, why don't you be a consultant for me, right?
For real.
Why don't you be on payroll? And now you'll help me because the money that I'm paying you is tax deductible, but I'll also help you as well because you do have to pay money on the taxes, but at least you can have some income that you can show when you need to buy a car, when you need to buy a home right now, as opposed to you just having no money to show at all. Now, at the very least, if we're in a relationship and I am going to give you money, well, why not? Let's do it that way, as opposed to it looks good on Instagram, but that's
the issue.
That 50,000 is not something I'm ever going to get back.
You just brought up a great point inside of, and I know that's something we had conversations about in the past where it was like, as an entrepreneur, I can write things off, but as you're doing that, you're also bringing it down your income level, right? So if you wrote everything off and now you have 20,000 that you said that you've made this year, well, you try to go buy that house.
Try to go buy something.
You only made 20,000. Right.
Yeah.
And so you gotta be mindful of these decisions that you make.
Fellas, if they ever hit you with it, but that doesn't feel like love, let her go.
But I heard them on Market Monday say you should put me on salary.
Girl. Packing them bags was a part of that social media job. Funny stuff.
Okay. W9.
Back up this gimbal, motherfucker. Come on.
That goes back to the education process though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you got a vet.
We talk about women following men, right? Well, if you're not a leader, you can't be followed. So if you want to be followed and if you want to be a leader, it's up to you to be an educator as well, right? Like, let me sit down. I'm gonna educate you. I'm gonna educate you on why signing this W9 is important.
And it's NDA. No, W9 and NDA together.
W9 NDA play.
I'll sign both.
Where we at? We at dinner as we're saying this, like, or is this like?
Big facts. Card
I love you card. Like
espresso martini, baby. I want to make sure in the future that even if I'm not here, you're good.
The W. I'm joking, but it's real. It's real shit. I'm just saying at what point, maybe this is like a black, but like at what point do we say like, yo, just I want to talk about this paperwork right here.
It's not paperwork. Like he said, like, I mean,
it is secure. It's financial security.
It is.
You're getting put on payroll. Who wouldn't want to be put on payroll?
Facts.
Half these dudes ain't even paying for their nails, for their girls' nails to get done.
Big facts.
That's tricky. Like
For real.
that was
Gel looking crazy on their fingers, yo.
They just throwing a bread, right? Like you said, like I'm putting $50,000 in a bag, and it's like,
well, it's not tricking if you got it.
And half the time they taking the money back after the camera go off.
That's true too. That's true too.
Yo, love. When you see that paper inside the card, don't ask no questions.
Yeah, just sign this.
Sign
Bring the food out first. Get the drinks.
What's that? The check? Nah. You see that sticker? It says sign here.
Real quick, baby.
The NDA play.
Both.
Necesito, mi amor.
Both.
Got
all right.
Both of them.
That's some free game for y'all. Y'all do what y'all want with it.
Facts.
S&P worst week since 2023.
That has happened.
Last week. That was last week.
Yes.
So
and make her sign the NDA when the market slide for her security. Send them little roses after.
The reality is this, right? Like we have now just made the conversation is easier because you could use this as a reference point. Whereas before it's like, yo, where's this coming from? No, listen to what the guy said.
I mean,
baby, if Nvidia lost 275 billion in value, it's really important that we keep.
And we just nobody even. It was like a sneeze. The biggest loss in the history of any company in history, and it was like, okay.
But as a woman, you want your man to boss you up, right? Like buying a bag. Okay, what does that really mean?
What does that do?
Okay, let's get your LLC. Let's get you documented as a consultant, right? Now you have employment history. Use me as your resume.
Absolutely.
That's a real.
These are calculated steps.
That's a real flex, though. But that takes a real boss. That takes a boss.
Do that. And that's real care because you can get a Chanel or a Birkin.
No, you can't.
Get in the summer anyway.
No, but you can't really. You can't. Like they can't do it. Like how many people?
Well, nobody can get a Birkin.
Like
Birkin bags are out of the reach.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't just do it. That's a different level. There's levels.
You go to Canal Street.
Nah. You still buying YSL bags at this level.
YSL, don't do that. YSL makes good bags.
I'm not knocking them. No. Like the Louis Vuittons and like that.
Louis Vuittons.
They're good bags. I'm not. I'm saying that level. That's a different level.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, you got to act your level.
Coach.
Nah, we're not doing that.
Listen, I'm
that's crazy.
You going to the coaches to go to? No.
Michael Kors.
Wrong weight class.
I'm leaving.
You skip.
I can't do it.
You bought somebody Michael Kors?
I've
never once.
Listen, no, never.
Dooney and Bert. What we do?
You can't go from A to Z. You got to appreciate every single level. Every single level you got to appreciate. So at some point in time, you had to get a Michael Kors back.
Never.
At some point.
Never.
14 years old.
I mean, the other side of it is if you don't, they end up getting entitled.
I wouldn't want to have a girl
back to the gym shark bag.
I wouldn't want to be walking with it when she had that.
I'm saying if she's a kid, like
when I was a teenager, I never did that.
Were you buying bags as a teenager?
I did buy a few.
I wasn't buying bags.
I wasn't buying no bag shit. I got them out.
I'm different. Yeah, different.
That's how you married. We not.
I'm sorry. Nah, like we just
old school.
You know what I mean?
Old school.
Because here's the thing: it's still a representation of you.
But what I'm saying is that you act your wage.
All right. So in your 20s, and a girl got a Coach bag. I know the answer.
Makes good leather. If the signature Coach, the signature season, all that.
It's fire. Yeah.
But like
good driving glove,
a red bag with no logo on it.
Leather.
No, Coach makes good leather.
So what we have? Michael Kors, then Coach.
Yeah.
C.
Yeah.
And then Gucci. Then YSL.
No.
What?
You know what? I don't really see too many good Gucci bags.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's lower level.
Yeah, Gucci like
Gucci ratchet.
Gucci ratchet.
Cool. Especially the signature.
They got some of my favorite sneakers. One of my favorite
Gucci. No, it's good, but it's ratchet.
Some of it
Gucci
is ratchet.
Bandana. When Soldier had that Gucci bandana on, it's over with. I would assume,
Gucci's ratchet.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Sorry. S&P
500. So, are we witnessing a natural market correction, or could this be the beginning of a broader downturn?
They lied publicly about 800,000 jobs, and nobody batted an eye. We're gonna have a correction.
When you say they, who you referring to? The administration?
50 Cent. 50 Cent said, "Don't talk about
don't talk about the Fetty Go."
Therefore, I don't know who they was. Sartini, who y'all meet with at CNBC? One of them said it. Frank Holland reported. Shout out to Frank. Frank Holland reported 800,000 jobs were miscalculated, right? Therefore, if those jobs were not there, we may have a slight downturn. Also, if America's debt to GDP ratio keeps increasing, while like if you were waiting for like a $600,000 house to have a lowest interest rate, great. They brought the interest rates down a little, but now the house is 900,000. Not favorable. Credit card debt is at an all-time high. We're paying $2.5 billion in interest per day on debt servicing. So as a result, the market is going to come down. And when the entire market is riding upon if NVIDIA is able to produce at a high level, like it's never good when the economy is geared towards one company. Rashad, you can even go back to 2008. I know everyone wants to bring up sector rotation. There wasn't this much reliance on tech as the main driver for the stock market. Banking produced well. Oil and gas produced well. Natural gas had a segment. Tech was like the little kid at the kiddie table at Thanksgiving. Now we're so tech heavy and tech inflated. It's not a good sign. So I think we're due for a pullback or correction. We're seeing a mini recession in the chip space. And then as a result, the S&P will come down. I'll give you guys the prices where to buy and you'll be good. But like we can't continue to have these crazy valuations and only 4 sectors are doing incredibly well.
Yeah, I think the environment is, inflationary environment. When you talk about rates, it makes sense why financials aren't doing well in this environment, right? Mm-hmm. So I think the next 10 days, I know like we were waiting for the NVIDIA earnings, and it was like I said, when you looked at the earnings and you combed through it and you listened to the call that Jensen had, it's on par. It's on par. It's not like they're saying something that would say, all right, this stock is too overvalued. Yes, the valuation. But if you look at the products and you look at the future guidance, you can understand it. But the next 7 to 10 days, we're going to see some economic data that will let us know that we're headed toward a downturn. CPIs this week, PPIs this week. The jobs report will be coming this week.
Okay.
And then next Wednesday, I'm sure everybody has a circle. We will be hearing whether
I'm hearing my Wednesday.
A quarter or maybe a 0.5% of a cut on interest rates. And then on Friday, there will be quadruple witching. And so when you're talking about all those factors happening in the next 7-10
lined up,
we already talked about the volatility inside September and October. Seatbelts on. But this is the time. So I know I gave that statistic earlier about September being over the past 10 years, as far as the S&P, as far as the entire market being the month that has the largest pull down. But in turn, November, we see almost a 3.5 to 4% increase over the past 10 years. And so if you're looking at those two things and you say, okay, well, we know we're going to have a pullback in September, October. If you get in the right places now, by the time you get to November, you're going to see a percentage increase, right? If you find some of these bottom, you're going to have an increase, and then you can ride that out into the fourth quarter. We've seen the Christmas rally actually happen over the past 2 or 3 years. And so the other side of the road, there's some promise, but you got to actually have to bear this. This is part of it. Like, this is part of it. You just talked about NVIDIA having the worst day in the history of any company. The S&P last week, the worst week since I think 2022. This is part of it. This is part of it. I'm glad people are in the market. They have their brokerage accounts and they've invested money so they can see some pullback. But on the other side of that, there will be gains. You just got to be patient.
If you've been waiting on the sidelines, this would be a great time to buy a quiz question. Which are the 2 biggest economies in the world right now? Cue the Jeopardy music. And if those 2 biggest economies are both going through a slowdown, is the stock market going to go up or down as a result? Put it in the comments. Put it in chat. China's going through an economic slowdown. The Nikkei slid like Glorilla did on that beat. 9 p.m. on Friday. If J Powell don't cut, it's going to be 95 degrees next Wednesday.
If he doesn't cut, that might
federal. Yeah, emergency meeting,
emergency episode.
Jay Powell, I know you had the toughest job in the world right now, but man, half a basis point would be great. Need a quarter. If you say 0, man.
So
y'all think Tekashi fell off was hard. This market gonna dive.
Well, potential 20%.
20, Captain. You think 20?
Okay, quiz questions. This is one of my favorite investor questions. What would be the catalyst for the market to go higher when the richest people on earth and hedge funds are not even talking right now?
The catalyst. Okay.
What would drive it? If it's not NVIDIA missed, Blackwell's not going to produce. Intel, spit it to Fonto.
What if we hear something in the political world that's favorable?
They're not going to do quantitative easing again. That's the only thing that'll do it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like because we didn't factor in the election. Like that would be a catalyst, but I feel like that might have been by that time it'll be factored in by the time it gets to the election. So what would be the catalyst?
When you don't have an easy answer, like, hey, what do we need to do to fix this? Going back to what the brother said, we need to solve a problem. Okay, great. What's the catalyst that would drive the American economy higher? And most people are blank. Credit card debt are all-time high. Mortgages, car defaults. We'll maybe talk about it on Blackout. Even like the cost of living, let's just say in New York. I know the New Yorker had a piece about the nanny situation and the rising cost of that. Like most people are being priced out of a great living experience in America, and the entire market is riding on AI, and which most companies that are talking about AI haven't generated shit in the AI space. But you have maybe 5 great players in this. Yeah.
But it's tough. Right? If we're thinking of the catalyst, 2 years ago, we couldn't have said that AI was going to be the catalyst. We wouldn't have known. The obvious catalyst would be the interest rate cut. But we couldn't have said that it
got to be a deep
right. 2 years ago, Nvidia's trading at 127 or 130 something.
And then at the top of the year, you asked what was my top stock of the year. I said Nvidia.
But the AI economy that's been created around it, right? That would have been tough. Let's say 3 years ago, that would have been tough to predict.
Can we be honest?
We said that these are great companies.
Yeah. Most of the AI economy is they haven't produced. It's great. A lot of funding is went there. Outside of ChatGPT, Midjourney, who am I missing? Anthropic. This the big 3 that count, Kendrick. The rest of them, they've underdelivered what Canva did. The new Photoshop. No, that's not there. Capabilities are not there.
Gemini's in there. I didn't even realize I was using it the other day. You go on Google search and Gemini comes up automatically now.
So 4.
Yeah.
So, and that AI wave is all the capital that left crypto and NFTs, and that money flowed into that. That's the real sector rotation y'all don't want to talk about. The death of them fucking NFTs when y'all told me I was wrong. What I really know. Okay, and then it went there. And if we don't have a boom in AI, it's going to rotate to something else. So we're just in a very remember when Jordan left and it was like Pete Myers and Randy Brown. Shout out to Randy, love you, but that wasn't gonna get the job done. We're at the same place in the stock market. We got 2 in a possible. Listen, they won't even look at the IPO market. What is IPO to value? Last 18 months.
That has slowed down
dramatically.
Yeah, it was at its all-time high in 2021, 2022, and then now I feel like every month there was somebody that had an IPO. Then you saw SPACs, and it was like, now that's slowed down a bit.
The altcoins aren't moving as fast, which I think they'll move in next year. But in the IPO space, SPAC space, Angel space is slowing down. Stripe didn't go public. That was a canary in the
Stripe didn't go public, right?
Let you know. Yeah.
So what you're saying is that Powell has no pressure next Wednesday. No pressure, really.
Praying for you, my boy. Ooh, meditate, get on the Calm app, breathe in deep. The world needs a 50 basis point cut for us to be able to thrive.
Let's do it.
Yeah. But I don't think he's gonna give that. I think he'll give a quarter.
Yield curve uninversion.
This is the crazy part. So the yield curve is an indicator for recession, but they told it wasn't a recession. But as soon as it uninverts, it's news. I don't even know what to do. Because if I run out of gas and I have no gas in my car and I tell you, we're fine, we're still traveling, but I'm just going off the momentum I built up on 285. Like, there's a lot of media engineering behind this. Great news. Will go even better if he cuts a quarter of a basis point. But we were inverted for 18 months, 20 months. No recession. Like, can we just lie in media now? I know a lot of people have been doing it in their YouTube reviews, but just flat out lying, like, no, this is not happening. But when the signal uninverts, now it's like, oh, we're in the clear. In the clear what? I thought we were not in a recession. What happened? Like, I missed the hard journalistic reporting and just being honest across the board. I really do.
So does it mean that there's going to be a healthier cycle or an uptrend? I mean, if you waited to report, you changed the rules a little bit, it finally has got to a point that's favorable for you to report. Should we now, or I shouldn't say we, should the general public look at this as an indicator, say, okay, I believe it now?
Yeah, the worst is over. We should have more to the upside. A couple of those companies getting kicked out of the S&P was indicative as well. I think it's a few. Some of these get kicked out the Dow as well, but
that's true.
Brighter days are coming. Definitely, I think going into next year, if we can get through 25 and 27, we'll be okay. But if you look, with the exception of the gains from COVID, we've been flat since 19. A lot of innovation. Just take the drop of COVID and recovery, right? Which played a big part in our lives. But take that out, most companies have not done incredibly well. And the crazy part, Elon on his way to being a trillionaire, and Tesla's not moving that much. Talking about building an indestructible business. He's part Dutch too, right? Import, export.
Cool, we had American Airlines got replaced. I know you were just alluding to that. Companies that got excluded out of the S&P 500. Etsy which was one of those pandemic darlings. And Erie is going to replace BioRoad Laboratories. September 23rd, that takes effect.
Etsy should have never been in the S&P. We're going to be honest.
That was a quick run right into the S&P, right?
Yeah, that's tough. Grand opening, grand closing.
But
I think things will get better.
What about SMCI? Got downgraded by JP Morgan.
Super micro.
Y'all remember? Well, of course, y'all from New York. Remember the era when like everybody was trying to rap like Hov, and then Hov put that black ball on them like somebody else he did. SMCI was a great benefiter of NVIDIA and the rise of ASML. I don't think they've ever should have had this run up. To be honest, they got to 1229. Oh, so what? Like a year prior, they were at 182, and no one on earth can tell me why they deserve to go from 182 to 1200, other than the space was hot. It reminded me a lot of like the NFT and parts of crypto. Do I think it's a great company? Yes, but to go up 11x. So downgrade has been overdue. If they go to 261, I may want to swing trade it, but
so
no.
I'm a fan of SMCI, and it has to do everything with NVIDIA. And when we broke down the economy that's being put around NVIDIA, when we talked about data centers and what you should be looking inside of data centers, we talked about cybersecurity, and we also talked about servers.
Yep.
They are one of the companies that help produce high efficiency, high speed servers for cloud computing, for artificial intelligence, and for storage. And so if you keep seeing these companies and you hear data centers, that's an ignorable part of it, right? Like you have to have those in order for them, number one, to house them, but to also store the information. The pullback is interesting. Obviously, we've seen NVIDIA drop 30% and go down to, I think it was at 105 today. But the problem with SMCI is the numbers and
ugly.
The potential fabrication of numbers, which has hurt the stock. And
media training, that's a great phrase. Potential fabrication. Well played, pun intended.
Yeah, because it's tough to have a fair valuation. It's tough to have a fair guidance going forward if the numbers are potentially fabricated. That's what's hurting it more so than its functionality, because it is going to be needed. It is going to be a company that obviously NVIDIA has partnered with, and so its growth inside of the data center units, you'll see it inside there. But we got to get these numbers together and expeditiously, because if you have a pullback, that could happen, right? If let's say rates don't get cut, and let's say which in September does what it does, October does what it does, we're talking about a drastic fall,
bloodbath. And anytime a company gets to doing financial engineering, like even for them in the space, their gross margin is 18%. Their profit margin is 8.9%. When NVIDIA is bringing in 40%, they had a 25% drop. So if you have a profit margin of 8%, you should be down 70%. We just gonna flat out lie. We'll flex it. Y'all lied. Y'all worship this company. They're not NVIDIA. NVIDIA dropped 25% from its peak with a profit margin of 42%. Their profit margin is 8.9. The math ain't mathing. But what do I know? Shout out to SMCI. Slow and steady wins the rate. Go back to the old lesson. You say, Rashad, hey, 30, 40%, still 30, 40%. If I told you I have a company, so let's say I went to the pitch competition, and if you invest in me, you get an 8% profit margin per year, but I'm going to make you pay a multiple of 11 of, you say, get the fuck out the room. You want me to pay a multiple of 11 for 8% profit margin? Fly kite. What? Dog, so
are you not touching the stock at all?
On swing trade, long term, I would never touch it.
Okay.
Anytime you get to engineering them numbers,
it's tricky.
Shotty, you stole my crystal ball last week, that DOJ probe, and I know Jensen said it wasn't true.
That's right. Like we said, sometimes you get too hot, and then the alphabet boys come looking. Allegedly. And
it's even worse, Shotty, if you're like, yo, was CIA at your door yesterday? No, they weren't. Even having to ask the question bad. If you don't offer it up, now if Jensen would have offered it, I would have been like, all right, cool. The denial of the probe? Come on, bro.
They have denied. They have denied that there wasn't any probe at all.
What are three rules for trading options?
I got to swing this to Troy. Pause. Is that a pause moment? Going into the I love the show. Swear to God. Going into the fourth quarter, what are three options rules you think people need to obey, given how tricky the trading environment can be? And I'll go over it on the future side too. But depending on if he cuts rates, if real numbers start to come out about some of these companies, what are three rules you think they should follow?
I always tell people, if they're going to have options contracts, they should understand the equity itself, right? So if I'm going to have an option on NVIDIA, then I better own some NVIDIA, because the volatile moves that'll happen in options, they can wipe you out. And so I've shown my portfolio inside the university where if it's Microsoft, you're going to see a call on Microsoft. If it's Apple, there's a call on Apple. If it's TSM, you're going to see calls on TSM as well, just because I own the equity and I have the options contract. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that you have to figure out your threshold for patience. And that's something that I've had to learn a few times, but it's a valuable lesson that's learned, right? And it's the reason why we like to do leaps, and we don't do day trades, and we don't do swing trades. And I know they got, what's the new one, like you can sell them with contracts within an hour. That's number one. I just don't have the time, obviously, with everything that we have going on. But when I put leaps in inside of my contract theory, it makes more sense for me, right? I can justifiably see a 5% move to the upside. I can see a 10% move to the upside based on future guidance. So that would be number two, having a patience threshold, and then understanding your strikes, man. The strike price is important, and understand how the bid and the ask are formulated. I never want to buy something at its ask price. I tell people it would be like walking into the dealership and somebody telling you the top dollar for the car, and you say, all right, I'll take it. I'm always looking at the price that I feel like is necessary or it fits into my investment strategy, right? I always want to have it at least 5 to 10% below that. And so I'm going to put my limits there. And if it goes over, I won't get it. But if it comes to the point where I can buy it at that limit, then great. But being patient enough to know that if it doesn't hit today, then I'll try again tomorrow at that same price. A lot of times we'll see companies run up and we're saying, oh my gosh, I got to get it now before that. As you can see, if you have the patience, the numbers will come back. I know, like, even when you said 107 for NVIDIA, I remember I said 112 and it was sitting at 135 and people are thinking to themselves, there's no way this is going to happen. And then
every time you say that,
and it happens. And so having a strike that makes sense, understanding the ask and bid is important, but having that strategy and being disciplined enough to execute the strategy, I think those are the keys, especially going into the fourth quarter, especially now that we know September is volatile, and then we see the end of the year. We're going to potentially see some increases. You got to have that.
And going back to SMCI really quick, not to pick on them. Shout out to everyone there, corporate and their headquarters. But I think a great tip is to look at what the average 1 year target is expected to be. If you look at a lot of analysts, which I only care about my price and I don't care about anybody else's, but it helps illustrate a great point. For some analysts, they have SMCI going to $38. You can go on Walmart right now and look at it. $38 to $70 is the range that they're projected to be at. Now, could it be off? Cool. But anytime an analyst from any major 10 firm is predicting at 80 or 90% drop, that's not good. Or if you're doing calls. Now, if you're doing puts, run it up. Run it up. But I think you should know what those 1 year price targets are looking like to give you a clue about what the general consensus is on the street about that stock.
Yes, sir.
And they have a stock split coming up.
They're gonna have to do a 70-1 split to make this.
They gotta
rework them numbers, my boy.
I think it's on the 1st of October. Let me just double check.
Yeah,
that'll be Halloween havoc if y'all don't get this right.
10-1. 10-1.
The Super Bowl thing is really gaining a lot of traction. Nicki Minaj.
She commented.
She put a whole tweet series out of it.
You saw Master P?
Oh.
Master P was done tastefully though.
Yeah.
She went for the juggler.
Oh, she went crazy. Whoa, hey! Shout out to the Barbs.
Young Money raised me. Young Money raised me. Grew up out in base.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that because that's a lot of it's not.
It's a lot of lessons in that, man.
I don't think it's as clear cut as people making it out to be, but it's a lot of lesson as well. It's a lot of lessons.
A lot of layers too.
Layers. Multi-layered situation for sure. Multi-layered. Okay. PMI hits 8-month low. First, what is PMI and why is it hitting an 8-month low? Is it concerning? Does that show signs of an economic slowdown? What's the deal?
Yeah. It's a manufacturing indicator. It hitting an 8-month low does concern me. One of my favorite things to do is when I go to major cities is just like go through some of the industrious areas and see how productive they are. I think over the next, 12 to 13 months, like reports can say, because I know people say from Hove, men lie, women lie, numbers don't, but you can skew data to make it tell an untruth. I think over the next 12 or 13 months, we're going to get a lot more insight about how our manufacturing is really going in the country. And I think once they begin to tell the truth about how the numbers are looking, we can then course correct. This is why like Powell right now has the toughest job on earth because his decision is going to affect every industry in our country. And I would not want that job. But yeah, 8-month low. I hope things start to course correct, but it's the number I would keep my eye on, especially for my traders. If the PMI is not coming in, of course, there's certain industries and sectors you can trade and short to the downside, but just keep your eyes on it. It's I think something everyone needs to put on their watch list as far as an indicator for how the country is doing.
Yes, sir.
I didn't get to go over at InvestFest, so I figured I covered it here.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
Of course. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate that. Okay. And U.S. construction spending on the decline. Off that, what we just talked about, as far as that's an indicator, right? As far as if construction spending is falling more than expected, that means that there's a lack of demand for build, right? So is that another indicator that this thing is starting to fall apart?
This is why that cut matters a lot, because of course, like if you have construction costs and then if the rates are too high to borrow the capital to complete a project, half a point basis cut makes a difference. Even for me, like when I go to New York, like the biggest indicator for me was the lack of full development on Hudson Yards. Beautiful. It's not everything that it was supposed to be because of the timing. A lot of projects have been halted in Chicago as a result. So if construction is going down, manufacturing isn't doing as well. NVIDIA missed earnings and the numbers were amazing for any other company. Imagine if they missed by 10 billion. We would be in shambles, yo. So you gotta keep no one, and we always get vilified. Well, you guys aren't an economist. You're out of touch. I'm in more touch than you think.
Call Steve Leeson, man. He's an economist. He'll tell you the same thing.
My guy. Yeah, let's call my guy back. Hey, real quick, like, what are we talking about? Like, there are, and for full disclosure, hedge funds and banks are not politics, religion, banks. Never mind. So yeah, keep your eye on the indicator. I'm learning.
Learn your indicators.
Yep, learn your indicators and learn what to be.
PMI, PPI, CPI.
Yep. TMI. Yep.
Exactly.
Before we leave, we're gonna bring up a guest. We have the honor of having the CEO of Bevel brand, Damon Frost, with us. So we will bring Damon up to the screen. Damon Frost, how are you, my brother? How you doing?
My brother, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing, man?
Good.
Very good.
So Damon is the CEO of Bevel. If you guys aren't familiar, Bevel is a men's grooming company.
Come on.
Yeah, for sure. Bevel really to me, it hit my radar probably about 5 years ago when Nas had started rapping about it. I think he was an investor. That's when Tristan Walker was the CEO.
Mm-hmm.
And they were one of these companies that was revolutionary because it was wireless.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, a lot of clippers were not wireless, and then if you travel, especially when you travel overseas, Europe and stuff like that, you can't plug. The first time I went to Germany, I tried to plug my T-liner in, and it blew the thing off because the electricity is, and even if you have a converter, it still does. It's not the same. So having a portable is something that's very good. And then the blade was different technology. So Tristan Walker, the original founder, he sold the company, I believe, like 3 years ago, right?
More like 5
years ago.
Yeah.
And since then, it's been going up. It's been doing good. A line of different products, male grooming, and actually took part of InvestFest this year. We'll talk about that in detail. Thank you. But yeah, a new CEO who has taken the helm, Damon Frost, has been doing a great job. So first and foremost, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much for inviting me on. Hey, big fan of you guys and what you guys have been doing. I think that's awesome. So yeah, I had the opportunity to take over this business about a year ago from Tristan directly. So Tristan had been running it for the first 10 years, and he was able to hand the reins to me. So I'm super excited about the opportunity. We've been trying to do some big things over the last year or so and try to keep his legacy going.
So let me ask you this: as far as on the corporate side, because it's an interesting conversation as far as on the business side, right? We've spoken to people that have sold businesses, but we haven't really spoken to a lot of people that have actually taken the helm of running a company after it has been sold already to a larger corporation. So what are some of the challenges that you have to face as far as stepping in a CEO seat replacing a well-known CEO and a well-liked CEO, right? And how have you been able to make that transition?
Yeah. So look, it was an honor for me to be able to take over this role. So I actually was part of the first set of folks that welcomed Tristan and the Bevel brand and Walker & Company to P&G. So I actually made a connection with Tristan super early in that relationship. Also, I was a big fan of Bevel. So I, like, before it was even on P&G's radar, I was a user similar to yourself, right? Before, that was a big thing. So, it's been a good transition. Tristan is super supportive. And, again, for me, what this is about is how do we continue to build on the legacy that was created and continue to serve Black men from a grooming perspective. So how do we continue to innovate in that space? How do we keep the focus on grooming and Black male grooming and creating solutions for Black men so that Black grooming tools and capabilities are available everywhere, not just in very specialized places. So that's why we like to have products in Walmart and in Target and in Ulta and Amazon. So to make it more widely available for Black men.
Yeah, I remember when Bevel dropped. I had the original. It was silver, but one of the best. Yeah. It was quiet. It was a quiet cut. So I appreciate that. Now we talk about beauty care all the time, and we can obviously see the numbers. We just saw Selena Gomez became a billionaire on the list now because of beauty care, but we don't talk about men's grooming enough. Talk about the business that's associated with men's grooming, how profitable it could be, and what separates Bevel from all the other men's grooming companies in the space?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, men's grooming is exploding. Even if you just go into a store now versus like 5 years ago, you can see there's so many more brands that are on the shelf, so many more products, athletes are getting involved. You got superstars like the Rock are getting involved. So, and that's really because men's grooming as a category is starting to explode. Where we play uniquely is we provide grooming solutions for Black men. Okay. So we are really focused. We prioritize Black men's grooming. That's why if you think about the safety razor, the shaver, right? This is all about eliminating irritation. It's all about eliminating razor bumps. The reason why Tristan started the company to begin with was because he was having a problem, right? So he was starting to shave and he was getting razor bumps. And so he created a product that eliminated razor bumps, eliminated irritation, and we've kind of built from that. I actually had, interesting enough, I had a friend of mine that I went to college with, and I caught up with him at some festival about a month ago, and he didn't know. So it was me and another friend, and my other friend was telling him like, "Hey, Damon is now the CEO of Bevel," and this dude was like, "Man, dude, this Bevel saved my life," and he was dead serious. And basically, what he was sharing with me was he was in the military. And, in the military, you have to be clean shaven. And he was using stuff like Magic Shave. He was using like the multi razors that was giving him lots of razor bumps. And once he discovered Bevel, it changed his whole life. He was able to really focus on being in the military versus, being worried about getting like razor bumps and it's really irritating his skin.
You guys are incredibly innovative. I actually bought 2 blades, so I'm honored to be talking with you tonight. I don't endorse many products, but boy, that blade is sharp. I've seen a lot of people try to take or imitate what you guys are doing. For the entrepreneurs watching tonight, what do you do to thwart your competition from taking some of your R&D ideas, and how do you continuously improve the brand while they're doing that?
Yeah. So look, we try to focus on solving problems. So what we really are about is, okay, if you think about our consumer and our consumer, it's very simple. It is Black men. So what are the needs for Black men? And then how do we innovate around the technologies that we already have in order to serve Black men more? So for example, we went from we had the safety razor, we had the clippers, we had the trimmers, then we have the electric razor. Okay. That's another one that we launched about last year. We're also trying to be in more places. So we're partnering with Ulta to launch more to help with their overall men's grooming section. And we're continuing to listen to our consumers. So because we're a brand that actually is very connected to our consumers online, whether or not it's social, whether or not it's on our website. We're actually getting those ideas and trying to incorporate them very quickly to the solutions that we're offering. We're also doing things like we're trying to stay in touch with the community. So we're doing things like, we are sponsoring the Atlanta Barber Institute. We are in the Clark Atlanta men's basketball program. We have a barbershop there. We're partnering with Overtime Elite, which is, it's a basketball league for young men who are 17 to 19 years old, who, as an alternative to them going to college, they can go play. These are our consumers. We want to be there with them and learn what they need as they're using our products.
So let me ask you this. Okay, so Procter & Gamble has been, you purchased a few well-known Black brands from Bevel to Mael. And there's always a lot of backlash when Black founders sell their companies, right? So what's you being on the other side of that, right? What would you say to the community that, can actually hurt valuations, right? When you actually go online and now the company is not as valuable anymore because they're saying that it's sold out, and you know the narratives. So what would you say to that?
Yeah, look, I can't speak for all entrepreneurs. What I'll tell you is, as entrepreneurs that I know, that I've worked with, they really want to grow their businesses, right? So they want to figure out how they can get their products in more hands to more people, how they can expand to different product lines and continue to serve their consumers. To be able to scale, to create that scale, they will need to have partners. Whether or not it's partners where in the supply chain, whether or not it's partners like P&G. And so what I would say is, that is actually viewed as a positive to be able to connect and partner with these companies to allow for those businesses to grow disproportionately.
Well, we were honored. We have a demographic that kind of fits the similar demographic that you service. And you guys were there at InvestFest this year. I'm interested to see, your feedback. What were your takeaways of being in one of the most iconic events that has happened in the history of the world?
And definitely iconic. So look, I was not able to be there. Now I have a good reason. Okay, so
oh man,
I might not. Well, hold on. So, I turned 50 a few days ago. Okay,
happy birthday, my man.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. My wife planned something for me. I didn't know it was going to be this giant party. She planned something for me on August the 24th. Okay. And she told me, hey, sir, I need you to be in Cincinnati on August the 24th. And right now, I try not to get myself into too much trouble. So I actually forced myself to be in Cincinnati. However, the team attended and they were like, oh my God, this is awesome. So I got so much positive feedback, so much so that one of our team members, they actually changed their travel plans. They were coming back. They were going to be leaving Atlanta. Maybe it's going to be Saturday afternoon, and they changed it to be later because there was so much rich content. So we were super excited to be part of it. It was an awesome event. I was really excited about, the fact that we were able to give away a grant. And excited about the business that we were able to give the grant to. So look, I will be there next time, right? I won't be turning 50 again. So I ain't gonna have that excuse. And I already told my wife, like, hey man, I'm gonna be at the Best Fest, whatever it is next time. So we're gonna have to deal with it. She can come with me.
Yeah, talk about the grant a little bit, because everybody saw what happened on the main stage with the marathon initiative pitch competition. They saw what happened with Lauren London in the women's health and wellness business. But people may not have saw what actually you guys came with inside of the marketplace. Talk about the grant just a little bit.
Yeah, it was super dope. So we were able to give a $25,000 grant to a set of entrepreneurs as a couple. Their business is Double Dutch Aerobics. Okay, so they are bringing fitness.
We know them.
I'm on camera doing it.
We know them.
Yeah, exactly. Go get it, right? Yeah. So, they were awesome. They actually have been on many different talk shows, like the Tamara Hall show. I think they were on the Great Race. So the Amazing Race. So, but they were outstanding and awesome. And we feel honored to be able to support them by giving them this grant to allow them to continue to build their business stream. So I told the team, next time I'm in Atlanta, we doing a class. So, they might as well get ready. Like, we're going to be sweating it out with them, getting my double Dutch on.
That's fine. For the entrepreneurs watching tonight who may have aspirations to work with a Target or Ulta or even have a product to bring to you, what would be the best way to pitch that? And can you talk us through how you're able to form some of these partnerships?
Yeah, I would say it's always helpful to have a very clear understanding of who your consumers are. Who are you creating this thing for, whatever the thing is, right? Because, I've been at P&G for a long time, and we always talk about consumer being boss. The person who is purchasing is the boss. So what value are you creating for that person to be able to consume that service or take that product? Once you're very clear on that and the difference you're going to make in that person's life, then it becomes very easy about how do you get to the end of, okay, so I have this product now. It makes this type of difference for this person or this consumer or this user or this man or this woman or whoever. Now we can talk about how do we put the other parts around it in order for it to be able to be a success.
Okay. My last question is, how do you work your way up the corporate? Because you're a CEO. So there's different types of CEOs, right? The CEO as far as the founder. But then there's a CEO that, you worked your way up the corporate world, and now you're inside the ecosystem of P&G, and you're a CEO within the umbrella, right? Which is a different pathway. So, but there's still a CEO. So, what kind of advice would you give to people that are in that entrepreneurial journey, working their way up the corporate ladder, to be successful?
Yeah, look, that's a great question. So, I've actually done a lot of soul searching over the last few years. I mean, turning 50 to do that to you, right? But I would say try new stuff. So one of the things I realized as I took on kind of this role as CEO is that a lot of the things are the leadership skills, a lot of the team building skills, a lot of organizational development skills, a lot of problem solving skills that I need for this CEO role are the same skills that I built throughout my career, right? So my advice would be take on new opportunities and different opportunities, whether or not you like them, right? A lot of times we learn the most from the thing that we like the least. Right? You might hate that job, but actually you're going to learn a bunch from that job that's going to develop you and make you a better leader. It's going to make you a better operational person. It's going to make you a better organization developer or whatever. And so that's one of the things that I really advise people to do is take different types of experiences to grow your skills and make them more well-rounded so that when an opportunity like this comes up, you're ready for it. You can just go get it. You say, and by the way, you go into it in this kind of situation, you're going to be uncomfortable because it's going to be new, but that's okay. You've built the muscle of doing new things, right? I mean, it's like you have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Talking about new things, like you said, we started, it was a shaver. And now I see shaver. I see the clippers, obviously. We got exfoliating pads. Yeah, the whole line of products since we started the brand. Talk about the process of getting new products and also getting them to retail. Like you said, you're in Ulta, Sephora. That process, shelf life, and where things need to be placed. People don't really understand the dynamics that go into that, but can you shed some light on it?
Yeah. So yeah, we've expanded the portfolio. I mean, we started with kind of shave, and then we kind of went around the edges of, call it grooming, male grooming way. So we have skincare, we have hair care. And we have personal care, which is basically body care. And really, like, the way to think about it is we've tried to kind of have our core and then build outside of our core where it's relevant. And then to the point of how do you then partner with retailers like Target or Walmart or Amazon? It's really about what kind of value you're creating for their categories, right? So they are normally looking for brands and looking for products that people who walk in their stores are looking for. So if you have a product that they're, it's kind of that simple, right? They want to attract more consumers, more buyers into their stores. And so if you have products that people want, that's how you are able to convince Target or Walmart or whoever to be able to get those, put those products on the shelf.
Well, as a CEO, like, what is your biggest challenge that you've had in the role thus far? Because you guys have amazing products, right? But how do you expand without diluting future products or taking away from the current product lineup that you have?
Yeah. So to answer the first part of your question, really, one of the I won't say the biggest challenge, but the biggest opportunity we have is how do we drive more awareness, right? So to your point, we have these awesome products. People love them. Like I love them. I've been a user for 7 years, whatever, right? You guys are using. But how do I get more people to know about these products? Right. So that's what we've been doing a lot of work around driving awareness. So, for example, we're going to be part of One Music Fest, like in Atlanta. Right. We're doing this Overtime Elite thing. We were actually part of BET Awards. So we're trying to figure out how do we create more awareness so that more Black men know that these products are on the shelf and they can get to them. The second part is to your question is like, how do we make sure that we are continue to innovate, but stay in the core? That's how we start everything, right? How is this next set of things that we want to go do, these next set of products, how does it relate to what is the core consumer need, right? So what does Black men need from grooming and our core around shave? So we're really trying to stay focused on what we're like, look, what are the problems we're trying to solve? And then how do we then innovate in order to continue to solve problems that are related, that are connected, where we have credibility?
Well, I want to thank you for your time.
Well, thank you so much, brother.
And once again, thank you for the $25,000 grant at InvestFest. So many things that happened at InvestFest that didn't, really make as far as like the news that were just very, crucial. Like that could potentially change somebody's life. So things like that, I think are important to highlight because, you guys didn't have to do that, but you wanted to support a small business. And that was something that is very important. So hopefully we can have you guys back at InvestFest next year.
Yes.
Look forward to the collaboration. And once again, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
And thanks for the care package too, man. We greatly appreciate it.
There it is. Of course. Keep y'all fresh.
Thank you, brother.
That. You know that.
Thank you.
Amazing, brother. Man. Amazing energy too. And I'm not just saying it because he's on the show. Actually, I bought 2 of them. Best blade I've ever.
Nah, it definitely is a great product, man. This is going to be my third now. This is the pro. I didn't get to have the pro, but you just put me on the game. I was wondering why they had the numbers on the front, but you said
you got the adjustable levels on the liner.
Yeah, the original one I had, it had that nice light up when it was charging.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's easy to pack. The blade you could take off and clean. It was real quick, man. But they
that new joint looks like Tron when you plug it in, get to hitting them numbers.
I'm looking forward to it.
Some of y'all need to grow more. We're gonna talk on Blackout, but
exfoliate your skin.
Have to.
Please.
Have
to. Do us all a favor.
For sure. Shout out.
And his energy is amazing. Like he's 50, right? We are getting closer to that age range, right? But when you have passion for business and actually are changing the world, like look how excited he is about what he's doing. And I thought you brought up a great question about like being an entrepreneur inside of an empire. It's not a path that many people know or talk about. And shout out to Tristan Walker. Like people forget, Christian was like one of the top crude futures traders in the world at one point while he was running Bevel. Like everything, I'm learning everything ends up overlapping and helps you be great at something else. So like just seeing price recognition and pattern recognition, like I think Tristan has a very interesting story. So
my signature fade with the bevel blade.
It's a major key.
That's a major key. Another jam-packed episode.
Yes.
Market Mondays, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure tomorrow you check us out, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. We will be covering the debate. Politics.
Presidential blackout.
Politics as usual, ladies and gentlemen.
Come on, this is an important election.
For sure. Then make sure you tap in to Wednesday for 10 o'clock hour for Blackout. Vitally important.
Fact.
Vitally important. All right.
We got any birthdays? Anything like that?
I don't know, man.
Denise just had a birthday.
Come on. You know whose birthday is this week, man?
Denise the broker?
Yeah.
Oh, shout out to Denise. For sure.
You just said this whole line. We gotta shout out Nas, man.
Happy birthday.
Oh, it's Nas' birthday?
Yeah, man. This is the Virgo. It's Virgo season, man. Shout out to
happy birthday to Slim Thug.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Happy belated.
I think Swiss is this week as well. But shout out to Nas, man. Just an incredible dude. And people always usually ask a couple things. Who do you want to meet? Who have you met that has just been super impressive? And I always start with Nas, man. Just an incredible dude. So happy birthday to him. And his whole team. Shout out to Master Bill.
Shout out to the kid Esco. All right, guys.
Next time y'all have a 5-hour dinner, like at the recreated tunnel.
Yeah. Got you.
Yeah. And we got to shout out We got a shout out Harlem Fashion Row.
Oh yeah, hold on, no, let me clap it up.
I mean, Harlem Fashion Row. And shout out to Fashion Bomb Daily.
Yes,
I didn't get a chance to attend the show. I was sick past weekend, but definitely wanted to support them. They've been doing their thing. So shout out to the people at Fashion Bomb Daily.
Shout out to them. Shout out Brandon's incredible.
Come on,
incredible. Say it again.
What inspired the look? Come on. Well, I know the show was amazing. I want to get to the show y'all put on. Real.
Okay, yeah. Oh, from you know what? The Komodo? That was shout out to Mike B. We just trying to play with fabrics and ideas. And I had that for Invest Fest, but I just didn't think it would fit on stage.
Gotcha.
So I said, all right, well, we got a couple more of those that we're gonna lay out, a couple more fits. But yeah, that was a kind of Invest Fest leftover, and I figured, why not, man? Shout out to Brandon again. That was an incredible event.
And Rashad, the casual cream couture. They can talk that shit if they want to. Yo, walk us through the look, bro. I said, I see what you did not try couture.
Carl. I don't know if you've seen that Drewski skit when he's talking about like the fashion dude. He's like, this is calm, it's a little calm. Some everyday shit. I was just in my closet, some leather. I was in my closet, some leather. You know what I'm saying?
As opposed to someone else's closet.
Yeah. You know how that go, man. But shout out to New York, man. It's a lot going on. It's New York Fashion Week. We can't forget. Rest in peace, everybody. 9/11.
Absolutely.
20-something years. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been like 20-something years. So
23.
Time flies, man. But that's a moment in history. So yeah, that's definitely a moment every time they come around. This time around comes around for New York City.
We went to see Tim's. We forgot about that.
Shout out to Tim's, man.
Tim's is incredible. Shout out to everybody that pulled up on us outside the event, inside the event. Shout out Usher, I went to see that. That was incredible. You know what I ended up? I ended up sitting in front of the Microsoft, some of the Microsoft team, and they were talking to me about they were talking about how they love the best. Shout out to everybody that pulled up, man. It's a busy time. The US Open final was obviously this weekend. It was busy.
It's gonna be busy.
Busy.
Can you talk to us about the importance of attending those events outside of like it may look like it's just for fun, but what lessons did you pick up from those shows?
Oh, it's always networking. It's always being around energy and people, and even we went to Rock Nation. We'll discuss.
Wow!
We went to Rock Nation. So these things where you meet one person and then something organic happens. You can only really do that from being outside. You can't.
You have to be in the room.
Yeah. You just can't be like secluded and isolated. You got to kind of. If you become like Bill Gates, then you can afford not to come outside. But until then,
or you could. In some of the conversations we were having Friday, the reason they're inside is because they're working on something crazy. And when you do see them outside, study.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, but if you're trying to connect with people,
that's true.
And it could be anyway. It could be a basketball game. It could be a concert. It could be a fashion show. It could be, and that's one of the good things about New York City is that there's always something going on. And it's relatively small as far as the proximity. So it's easy to kind of network and connect with people. That is one of the good things about New York that not a lot of cities have. LA kind of like that as well. LA, it's that energy, especially like this time of year. It's a good time. So if you, for your business, there's no replacement for hitting the pavement, being outside, meeting people. We're gonna talk about on Blackout that clip about the hustler mentality. But I got interesting views on that because I feel like for me personally, I had to go to networking events. I had to go to different. I don't care if it was a church or if it was a sorority, fraternity. Like that's how I built my financial planning business. So the hustle is necessary if you're trying to actually become an entrepreneur. And that's something that not a lot of people talk about. But like I said, I'm going to talk about that in detail because that was an interesting clip. And I've been seeing that narrative floating around, but I don't think it's as simple as was portrayed in that individual clip. But to answer your question, Ian, very important to be outside, to not just be outside aimlessly, but just have something to offer, have the vibe, especially if it's good weather, be out there, be at different events.
And if it wasn't important, the Pope wouldn't do it, Vice President Harris wouldn't do it, former President Trump wouldn't do it. Like Barack and Auntie Shell making that like
what it also does, it shows a human side.
True.
Like people be shocked to see you. I'm like, nah, I really like Tim's. Like I really like her music.
Yeah.
And I really was at Usher's show when he dropped this album, and I'm happy to be here tonight with my wife. Like we're just enjoying these moments, and like you might see us on Broadway, or you might see us at Brooklyn Shop. Like you're gonna see us, and so it's like, most times you've watched somebody, and it's like I'm never gonna see this person in real life, but the chances are you're probably gonna see us in real life. Even like now, you walk the street, people running that, like I just want to shake your hand to say thank you, changed my life.
Thank you.
I want to show you my portfolio. It creates that human side where it's like, yo, we're all in this together, right? I told people all the time, without you listening and executing on the information, we don't become as successful, right? But the fact that you've helped us on our journey, it's only right that we try to help you on yours. Pay it forward.
It's a great lesson. You have to pay for the proximity. Like yesterday, I don't normally went to go bust a move, see Chappelle real quick. The guy that hey man, love the show. Watch Market Mondays every week. Cool. Owns one of the biggest lighting companies for concerts and things. Like
that's how you
have to pay to be in. Like we ask for a seat at the table, but won't walk into the room.
Yeah,
you can't do it from YouTube comments.
You just don't sit on the third base line at the Astros game.
You can't, bro. That's my baby.
You got to
really jumped up. But even with that, like met one of the top anesthesiologists in the country, just Xander being playful. You have to be outside. You have to make a plan for a certain amount of time to go to a certain amount of events to shake hands and kiss babies.
It's important because the price you paid to be in that seat, right? That puts you in proximity with people that are playing a similar place to being in that seat.
Absolutely.
You ever seen the story of Jay-Z and my man who owns the Hawks? He was like, he had season tickets, 4 tickets, on the third base side at the Yankee game, and Jay came one day, and they struck up a relationship. And he told him,
I think Jesse Itzler.
Jesse Itzler. Yeah. How about we go 50-50 on these tickets? He said from that one game, they did that for 10 seasons.
Crazy.
10 seasons. It's you, Jay, and whoever his guest is, whoever he has gets for 10 seasons from that one time being in that seat. So you never know. You got to show up. Yeah. Show up the right way. Show up. Nobody sits in the bleachers.
Nothing wrong with the bleachers. Love bleachers. Yes.
All right, guys. See you tomorrow.
Wednesday.